What is up, my friends? We rolling right into week 3 of the college football season, and today I'm hanging out with my buddy Mike the Real McCoy, former receiver at Alabama. Also hanging out over at the gym, Maximum Performance in Bessemer. Check him out. He's flexing. He's strong.
Come see me.
And we're going to break this whole Texas-Alabama thing down and also look ahead to Louisiana-Monroe because there's a lot to talk about in this week's episode of Head to Head.
Let's go now.
So every week's episode brought to you by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. We appreciate you. And Mike, I always appreciate you because you shoot us straight.
Got to.
You know, Alabama's performance against Texas, they pulled out the win. The final score 20-19. But I'm sure most of you all watching this, watch that Alabama game. You have a pretty good feel of how things shook out. I just want you to shoot us straight. What were your biggest takeaways from that game? What was just glaring at you throughout the entire 4 quarters of that football game?
I don't think up until the fourth quarter, I think the plays were pretty much elementary. No shots to Big Wild Bill, but I wasn't a fan of the play calling. I don't think we ran enough tunnels. I don't think we ran the ball. I don't think we imposed our will. The offensive line didn't make up a big push for me. I'd have thought they would have been a little bit more dominant. Even wrong, Texas is like that up front, but I feel like we had better players. There were miscues on as far as the receivers are concerned. And you got a lot of young receivers. This is a new offense. You got 3 new starters, so the chemistry's not there. So I guess that's my take as far as the offense. Hopefully I answered your question.
You did answer my question. I think those are some really good key takeaways. First of all, I want to give credit to Texas, where credit's due. You talked about the defense specifically. I think, they brought their game. They were stout up front. They pressured Alabama through all 4 quarters. And I think going to this one, I felt Texas was going to hang in there, but they hung in there.
They did.
Credit to your quarterback, Bryce Young. What he did on that final drive is exactly why he's the Heisman Trophy winner, why he won that accolade a year ago. Just so poised, so calm. And, he eludes the pressure. He gets out of that 4th down situation, obviously gets down the field and, lines up the field goal. So I, first of all, credit him. And then, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's a dude. I think that if he showed us that he's a huge asset for this Crimson Tide. So I'm excited to see his upside and where he goes. So with that being said, I got to ask you, 15 penalties. So, I want you to take me behind the curtains. 15 penalties, the most in Alabama history under Nick Saban, and even when he was at LSU. 15, the most. Undisciplined football. We know Nick Saban's all about discipline. What's happening in practice this week? What is Nick Saban telling you? What are you all doing to fix those penalties?
Well, I can tell you one thing as a player. If you're looking at it, you never want to be that guy. We got after the season, we got the 24-hour rule, but when they come in Sunday, they got the good, the bad, the ugly. And if he got you and he's circling that pin, you don't want to be that guy because he's going to chew into you. I think they didn't play discipline that game, but I think Coach Saban is going to say, hey, man, I've been too late today, so we finna tighten up the bolts on the train. So I think it's going to be a pretty it's going to be a quiet week around there in far as attention to detail. It's going to be quiet. Guys are going to be on their P's and Q's, and guys are going to be walking on eggshells because they don't want to piss off the boss man. So I think it's going to be attention to detail. I think this game, not looking ahead before we jump there, but I think this is where you're going to jump
there. I want you to jump there.
I think it's going to be cleaned up. I think you're going to see them execute perfectly this weekend. I think it's going to be a chance for the young receivers and the new starters to get acclimated with their quarterback. So, again, I think collectively as a group, they're gonna tighten up.
Yeah. And I think as you talk about offensively from that standpoint, I think this is a great week because really, we talked about it, the receivers. That position needs to be established. We haven't really seen that. I think there was some expectation that Jermaine Burton comes in from Georgia, the Georgia transfer. Really didn't see much from him. Kobe Prentice, I know you're high on him. let's see a little bit more from him. Let's see how he can get in the game and obviously, create some explosiveness. I think we saw some of that. I think it's experience to me is a key for him.
Yeah.
Developing that experience. Offensive line, I kind of want to dig a little deeper there. They struggled against that pressure,
Oh, my
right?
God.
So, I think to me, very average play, 2 sacks, 12 pressures. Then they were forced to punt on 6 consecutive possessions. That's
Terrible. Coach Saban, I hope you're watching this. Look, I know we in the
we
side.
know Nick Saban is watching this.
We in the Bible Belt. Get you 3 gangsters and 2 church boys, man. That's going to balance out the equation. We need some guys that, don't brush their teeth before game day. We need the grit. Not all these nice guys that are high five, scared to push. Hey, man, knock somebody on their back. I want to be IHOP. I need some pancakes. I need some syrup with it. But right now, we playing 2-hand touch, man. Feather football. That's what it looked like.
I want some pancakes.
Yeah,
You got
I
me
do.
hungry.
Yeah.
I didn't eat breakfast this morning. All right, so we go to the defensive side of the football for Alabama. I think Will Anderson, he's obviously a wrecking ball.
Yes.
Although not the most disciplined performance we've seen from him. Obviously, those penalties were costly. And then someone else to highlight, Jalen Moody. I think he had a pretty
Special
pretty
player.
special game. Really the highlight of the defense, in my opinion. However, the secondary is where you draw up a little concern. What do you take away from that secondary performance, and what do they need to do moving forward?
Well, we go to the wheel, then I'm going to jump to the secondary. Those penalties were costly. But I'm glad they happened early. He's smart enough to clean this up. I'm glad it's not happening in the playoffs, and I'm jumping to the playoffs. Y'all know we in there.
This guy.
I'm just glad it's not happening then. Now, as far as the secondary, I think we're trying to scheme and do too much. You know what we need to do? Old school man-to-man. If we got better guys than them, we just need to run man across the board. That's all I am. So we know who fault it is. Nobody throwing their hands up. I don't know who had who. It wasn't no communication. No, you go man-to-man. That's just take it out. Run scheme with your guys up front. Your linebackers run stumps with those guys. But as far as your secondary concerned, put a man on man. Why are you at Alabama if you can't play man? It's that simple. Guard them. Put them clamps on them. As the kids say, put the seatbelt on them.
Buckle up, baby. I think with this Louisiana Monroe team, you've got obviously a Sun Belt team that is kind of on the up and up. Former head coach, Auburn head coach Terry Bowden, leading the charge, okay? So that's a little old school stuff. And then their quarterback, Chandler Rogers, pretty good dude.
He is.
I think he's pretty special. So I think Alabama will have their hands full. Keys for me, you got to eliminate the penalties, number one. Play disciplined football, huge. We already talked about that. We got that. I think that'll be the primary focus. Find your go-to receiver and then just run the football. Run the football well, clean up some things, and I think you get out of this one with a pretty big score. I'm going to go – you got to go first the last 2 weeks, so I'll go first. I'm going to go 48-6.
48-6. Well, hopefully we don't pull a Notre Dame and pay for a whooping. Just kidding. Shots fired. It's going to be a tough one. I guess my keys to success is just execute. If we do that, it'll handle itself. You give me, and I was way off this past week. I think Vegas lost a lot of money, right? Did you?
Yeah, you were way off. I was off, but you were way off.
I was way off. Give me 42-0.
Bye-bye now.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.